Hurricane Joaquin cut the Bahamas in half a few months ago, and many in the southern Bahamas are still feeling the impact of the eventual Category 5 storm. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
I'm Kish Latterly. Thanks so much for joining us. Well, recovery efforts continue in Crooked Island, Acklins, and Long Key following the devastating storm. Member of Parliament for Michael V. Alfred Gray says there have been a number of challenges, however. He says that some of the supplies were not readily available here in the capital for those most impacted by the storm.
Logistically, all of the supplies were not available, as I understand it, in Nassau. And so Nassau ran out of shingles and some other things that are necessary, and so they had to order some stuff from the United States, and because of that there's been some slight delays, but all in all I am satisfied with the progress. It is important for me to mention that I am grateful to the government for having sent to Crooked Island some 7 or 8 temporary houses to facilitate those people who stayed there and had nowhere to stay other than perhaps with tripling up with families.
Meantime, Minister Gray says some roads are still impassable in Crooked Island.
For Crooked Island, all of the roads have not yet been made passable. And by that I mean you cannot get from one end of the island to the other yet, because the road was broken in such a way that it is not easily repaired. And so I am told that they are seeking engineering assistance, and not too long from now, some heavy equipment would be sent up there in order to make the road passable, even though it would not be in a permanent state. I think that is the intention of the government, to try and make moving from one end of Crooked Island to the other possible within the next few weeks.
Meantime, Education Minister the Honorable Jerome Fitzgerald indicated that some 75 children from the storm-ravaged islands are now attending schools in New Providence. However, while all of the schools on the islands affected are open, Minister Fitzgerald says students may remain in the capital until next month.
Schools are now opened in Crooked Island and Acklins. South Long Island will be complete by the end of this term. So we'll see in the new year how many kids go back. We know that some kids returned in Crooked Island, which was a good sign. But the extent of it we won't know until January. But the key is that all the kids were taken care of. We accounted for all of them. And we're looking forward to them returning back home. But again, the schools are a little ahead of the community as far as rebuilding is concerned. And so there's still some concern for the families that although the schools are ready, that their home conditions still are not satisfactory.
And instead of rolling out new initiatives in the new school year, the Education Minister noted that the focus will be on ensuring that current programs are being well executed.
We're holding everybody accountable up and down and putting in the mechanisms to make sure we hold administrators, teachers, even parents accountable. The new high school diploma will see its first set of graduates in 2017, and so we're monitoring to make sure that those who are in line to graduate, those who fall a little short, we do everything we can to pick them up to the standard.
Social Services Minister the Honorable Melanie Griffin is throwing her support behind the Bahamas Crisis Center. In a statement released earlier today, Minister Griffin lauded the work of the non-governmental organization and pledged her unequivocal support for and appreciation of the work of the Bahamas Crisis Center. Minister Griffin saluted the work of the organization over the years and paid particular homage to the large pool of committed, trained volunteers who have assisted the organization's efforts with counseling, intervention, prevention, and advocacy services to men, women, and children over the years. The center's director, Dr. Sandra Dean Patterson, also got a show of support from the minister, who endorsed Dr. Patterson's efforts at eradicating discrimination and violence against women and children. Today's statement came in response to a Tribune article also published today highlighting comments from Tall Pines Member of Parliament Leslie Miller. The comments, we understand, were aired rather on a local talk show.